Welcome to Universe Beyond. I am the guide for this infinite journey. Tonight, we delve into the unseen stories woven into the very fabric of time and space. Until our species learned to listen in frequencies beyond sight, the cosmos kept its poems in silence and its ledger in shadow. We believed the stars were the universe, and the universe was the stars, and this small generosity of thought carried us far. Only in the late hours of our curiosity did we discover that the glitter we saw accounted for a fraction of truth, and that the rest had been written in invisible ink. Dark matter was not a myth but the lion in the vault, unseen yet shaping the architecture of galaxies, outweighing ordinary atoms by roughly 5 to 1. It held the scaffolding on which stars form and galaxies dance, a silent conductor that refused to play a visible note. Dark energy was a subtler betrayal, a diffuse pressure that turned the cosmos into an expanding stage and then urged it to accelerate beyond expectation. The universe did not simply coast, it found a new, relentless tempo and carried all things apart with quiet insistence. There is a relic glow bathing the whole sky that whispers of a beginning hotter and denser than any furnace we can imagine, and this afterglow carries the fingerprints of the infant cosmos. Encoded in that faint hum are the seeds of every galaxy, the anisotropies that grew into islands of light from microscopic fluctuations. We learned that those fluctuations were amplified by a burst of expansion so violent it stretched space itself, an event we call inflation, which set the stage for everything to follow. Inflation remains partly an idea and partly a map drawn by the evidence, a working theory that explains why our sky is uniform and yet speckled with pattern. Beneath the surface of spacetime lies a roiling quantum sea where empty means crowded, and particles wink into existence and vanish in the span of an instant. At the Planck scale, where length itself trembles, the very notion of a smooth geometry gives way to something like foam, and our classical certainties dissolve. This is not poetry alone but physics, where energy fluctuations can birth universes in thought experiments and where entanglement knits distant regions into a single quantum tapestry. Black holes taught us humility in the language of math and thermodynamics. They are not mere traps but thermodynamic objects with temperatures and entropy, and their event horizons carry information inscrutable and immense. The paradox of lost information forced a reckoning: either information is obliterated, which would break the rules of quantum mechanics, or it is preserved in ways we are only beginning to understand. The holographic idea emerged as one such resolution, suggesting that a region of space can be described by information written on its boundary, like a cosmic page encoding a cathedral. If space can be emergent and information primary, then reality is stranger than our earliest poets dared to imagine. We once counted atoms to measure the universe and we were embarrassed to find most of the baryons were missing from our census. They hid in diffuse filaments of hot gas threading intergalactic space, whispering their presence in X-rays and ultraviolet faintness, shy witnesses to a larger structure. Gravity itself revealed subtleties we had not anticipated when we first set Newton on a pedestal. Gravitational waves, ripples in the metric of spacetime, carried the thunder of colliding black holes and merging neutron stars all the way to our detectors, and with them we began to hear the universe for the first time. Those sounds confirmed violent, ancient acts and opened a new channel to observe the cosmos, one not bound to light alone. Life and consciousness occupy a thin film upon an indifferent void, and the distribution of habitability across the cosmos is a calculation of both chemistry and contingency. We recognize that the conditions for life arise from an interplay of metallicity, planetary dynamics, and stellar temperament, and that many worlds are sterile by design rather than mystery. Yet the chemistry that gave rise to the first replicating molecules was not a miracle but a probable outcome under certain planetary circumstances, and so the question of whether we are unique became less moral and more statistical. Our models grew precise enough to make uncomfortable predictions about the far future. Entropy increases like a relentless tax upon novelty, and over incomprehensible ages the cosmos tends toward dilution and uniformity, a heat death that is not dramatic but inexorable. Even black holes will evaporate by a faint quantum glow across timescales that dwarf human history, leaving behind a colder, quieter universe. Some truths remain provisional and plural, inviting us to keep hypothesis and wonder in equal hands. Multiverse ideas suggested that our laws might be local customs in a vast political map of cosmological domains, yet such visions are hypotheses of scale and probability rather than settled fact. We framed them carefully as possible consequences of inflationary dynamics and landscape-like physics, not as settled scripture but as open frontiers for thought and measurement. In the end, the facts that astonished humanity were simple in their brutality. Most of what is, we cannot see. The vacuum has energy that reshapes destiny, information may be the currency of reality, and time stretches toward a colder quiet. We learn to measure the faintest echoes, to translate background hums and gravitational whispers into stories of origin and change. We did not arrive at these conclusions by revelation but by patient instrument building, by mathematical clarity, and by the stubborn insistence to check the universe against itself. There remains humility in every answer, because each discovery opens new questions about why these parameters are what they are and whether explanation is a finite horizon or an endless coast. Do the laws we infer describe deep necessity, or are they one role among many at the cosmic table? Tonight, you have listened to the inventory of what we did not know until the late chapters, to the ledger of dark things and the music of space's trembling. Take these facts as both consolation and challenge: consolation that the universe is intelligible enough to surprise us with truths, and challenge that understanding is an ongoing conversation with a reality that will not be hurried. Thank you for watching Universe Beyond. Please subscribe to our channel and give us a like.